Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight, we will be reviewing Death on the Nile that was done in 1978.
Yeah,
Seeing as recently, the new version of Death on the Nile came out just only in February.
Yeah,
so we thought we might brush you off with the old original to give you a bit of a cliff notes of what the story is all about.
Exactly. Actually, just getting on to Death on the Nile. This is the 1978 version with Peter Ustinov in it. Now, I think a couple of decades later, didn't David Suchet that one?
Yeah,
they did a version of it.
His own version in 2000.
And that's not bad either, but we like this one better. I like Peter Ustinov. I think he really encapsulates the spirit of Farrow.
Exactly so.
Yes.
Peter and dear old Peter here, he did a few versions of Hercule Poirot after this one. This one his first time in this one.
Was it?
Yeah, this is his first ever film role as the popular Hercule Poirot.
I'll take your word.
So this is probably his first time.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And he's did several other movies as the same character.
Because Murder on the Orient Express was done before this. And
yes.
Was it Peter Finch? No. I can't remember who the actor was in that. Didn't want to go to Egypt in a hot summer sun and have his makeup on and stuff. He says, nah. So they chose to go in a totally different direction and get Peter Ustinov, who is a great character actor.
Yeah.
He really made this role his.
Yes. So who directs, scriptwrites, and
all the other good groovy things?
All the groovy stuff.
Okay, here we go. My usual stuff, guys. There we go. Produced by John Brayburn, I think that's the right pronunciation of his name, and Richard Goodwin. Directed by John Gilliman. I think it's the right name. Screenplay by Anthony Schaefer. And obviously it was based on Agatha Christie book titled Death on the Nile. Now, budget. Now, these figures aren't really indicative. Okay. Obviously, it says 8 million to make. Now, that would have been probably 8 million back in those days, I would say. Okay. But it doesn't say whether they're dollars or today dollars. But it says box office 15 mil, but that was only US only. It haven't got all the figures in. So worldwide, England, Europe, Australia, where we are, it obviously would have doubled or even tripled that. Yeah, it was a good movie. So and had a lot of really, really good mainstream actors in there. Great draw card, good storyline. So I think it would have done triple that easily, or quadruple that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. So who stars in it?
Well, getting there. Blah 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 blah. Here we go. It's quite. Look, I'm not going to go through every like I normally do. Main ones are Peter Ustinov. He plays Hercule Poirot.
Of course.
We know who he is. He's a detective guy in Agatha Christie books. Now, David Niven plays Colonel Race. He's Poirot's friend who helps him solve the crime. Now, Lewis Childs plays Lynette Ridgway Doyle, a very attractive woman who's a real bitch, and she gets killed. Now, no, sorry. Right. Yeah. Well, she
really rubs everyone the wrong way.
Everybody on this tour has something against her.
Yeah.
They're funny. They're just like on the Orient Express. Now, Mia Farrow. Now, a lot of you young people probably don't know Mia Farrow, but she was in quite a lot of things back in those days. She was in, I think, Rosemary's Baby. She was in some television series and some, movies, TV shows. She was very popular back in those days. Now, Mia Farrow, she plays Jacqueline de Belfort. She's Lynette's friend, sort of. And she has what would you say? She has a hidden agenda, which I won't talk about just at the moment.
Yes.
Jane Birkin plays Louise Bourget, Lynette's maid. Simon McCorkindale plays Simon Doyle.
That's handy, especially when you have the first name.
Simon,
that way you don't have to worry about using a different name.
That plays Lynette's husband. Well, actually, it was actually Jacqueline's boyfriend, then Lynette's husband. Mm-hmm. Bette Davis is in there. Maggie Smith's in there. George Kennedy's in there. Angela Lansbury's in there. Mm-hmm. Olivia Hussey's in there. John Finch is in there. Jack Warden, etc., etc. Now, but I will mention something got a bit part down here. Mm-hmm. I.S. Johar plays Mr. Chowdhury. I think that's right pronunciation. He's a boat captain on this on the river cruise. He plays a really interesting comical relief part, but the problem is when these sort of roles come up, they do typecast these people just so much that he may even have to be an idiot, which is unfair because he's probably not an idiot.
He's probably just a brilliant
he's probably a very good actor who's been, oh, well, I've got a job. You know,
It's better to be playing, I think you putting it in the old lady from from Gone with the Wind. She would
rather get paid a lot of money to act a maid than to be paid. You'd be paid 2/10 of bugger all to be a maid. Hattie, whatever her name is.
It's better than snap bugger all.
Yeah, that's it. So you pay but it does typecast some people the wrong way, and then every time we get an Indian or an Egyptian or somebody, oh my goodness gracious me, oh look, I am a silly little person.
Okay, that's going too far.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And they try to make them out they're all idiots, which is really annoying.
Yeah,
when they're not, they should actually give them slightly better roles.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably one of the reasons why so many actors are trying their hardest to make sure they get a bit of a better role.
If I was in a movie right now, I'm a funny man sometimes, but I also look like Jabba the Hutt. Now, you put me in a suit, a body bag, whatever, I'm a good actor.
I don't like it that at the moment they're thinking of making, trying to typecast the next James Bond into either African American or African English. I mean, I just think it just seems not the type of thing.
Look, if Doctor Who can change from male to female, black, white, Chinese, whatever, I mean, what? Okay, get the idea?
I get it, but I get it.
James Bond can be replaced by anybody.
Yeah.
You have to have a look at something too. He's supposed to be in Ian Fleming's books. Yeah. He was supposed to be a Scottish naval commander. Commander. A Scottish one, or Northern English come Scottish. Now the point is, if you get an Afro-American playing the role, it sort of takes away from the book. Or you get a Chinese or an Italian,
bear in
mind,
whatever. Mike, James Bond is sort of the image of, or at least the appearance of Ian Fleming, even though he doesn't look like that, but he took bits from wartime. That's his
alter ego because
that's his alter ego.
Ian Fleming was in the Navy and
so it's his alter ego in that book.
How he wanted to be, how he envisaged himself being, and that sort of stuff. But the point is, all I'm saying is, in the books, he was supposed to be Northern England to Scottish descent, Scottish people, heritage. The point is, it doesn't have to be if it's based on a book. He could be a Martian. It really wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the story. So I'll start into the story itself.
Roll on, Sarah. I'll have a sleep now.
Okay. Yeah. So the story begins where Lynette Doyle's just returning home to her estate, a wealthy woman and a total bitch.
Annoys everybody.
Yes.
I've got one of those here right now across the table. Okay, right.
Well, she's not like that bad.
Not as bad as you, no.
Well, she is as bad because she does rub everyone the wrong way or picks fights with people wherever she can. But she's not all that bad. She has her good best friend, Jackie, who's
her next door neighbour or local friend or something or other.
Local friend, local school friend that she had when she was in school, yada yada, and she tells her that Lynette that she's engaged.
Actually, I'll just stop here a minute. Lynette is really, 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 really wealthy, and her money's being held in trust until she gets married. Then they release all the funds to her. Now, Jackie, I would get the impression, doesn't have too much money at all.
No, actually, she's broke, and same what could I say for her supposed fiance, who was
her boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have no...
no, they were engaged, weren't they?
Yeah. So they have no money to rub between them. So
he didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So she asked Lynette to give him a job at her
estate.
Lovely.
Because he knows about estates and he could run the place while Lynette is doing whatever overseas or something. Yeah. So she tells her, feel free to bring him along and
she'll interview him.
So they drive down and she meets him and all sparks start flying.
And after a whirlwind romance, the engagement's off and there's a marriage on to not Jackie but to Lynette.
Yep. Ooh. And this starts stirring a lot of people.
And then they go on a holiday.
Yeah. See, Lynette's uncle, what's his name? Oh yeah, Uncle Andrew. He's a little upset that she's gotten married or something.
Because Uncle Andrew was a lawyer or solicitor. Solicitor lawyer, who has got control of the estate. All the assets of the estate and monies until she gets married. But he's been diddling the money, hasn't he?
Yes. So he decides...
Finger in the pie.
So he decides to go over to Egypt. This is where they're honeymooning
they're going on an extended holiday, and he caught up with them in their Egypt leg of their honeymoon.
Yes. So... And meanwhile, all this is happening. Another party is taking place to come to Egypt. None other than, what's her name? Maria von Schuyler, who wants to go there so she can obtain Lynette's necklace jewelry. Because it's a very valuable pearl necklace that's made of real, actual pearls. Well, for the movie anyway.
They're all made out of real pearls when there's rich people wearing them, and we know it's costume jewelry. Get on with it.
Anyway, we then find out that Jackie has been following them, Lynette and Simon, on their trip to Egypt and pestering them non-stop. Isn't that right, Mike?
Well, yeah, like you.
Yeah, there are some interesting sights in this scene. I like it when they go to the pyramids, where they climb up one of the pyramids. That's one of my favourite scenes.
I don't think you can do it anymore. Back in those days you could. I don't think you can now because OH&S, that sort of stuff. I don't even get hurt themselves.
When me and Mike,
public liability insurance.
Yeah, me and Mike used to go. We went to Egypt one time, and we were allowed to climb inside the big pyramid.
Yeah, we went inside the...
not the outside.
Yeah, the Cheops pyramid there and went inside. Awesome. We walked down, had a look at the Sphinx, went to Karnak, and Abu Simbel, great. That was great fun. We'd go now, not the COVID going on.
While this is happening, Hercule Poirot is watching them and seeing that the upset of Lynette and Simon being upset that Jackie is causing their honeymoon so much upset.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not the only scene we see. We eventually head to Luxor, I think it is. Yeah, Luxor. Not Luxor.
Karnak.
Karnak. Where
we've been there.
Yeah,
been both of them.
Yeah, at the hotel, and this is a hotel.
Oh, that was Aswan.
Aswan, sorry.
Yeah.
So at Aswan, they're
the Cataract Motel.
Will you shut up?
Very nice. We say next door to the new Cataract Hotel.
Yes, anyway. So Lynette and Simon, they're doing a dance while everyone's giving her the evil eye. Because...
Hey, she did look good. Yeah. She had a hot body and she's a very beautiful lady.
Yeah, but a lot of people want to think that she's too wealthy and too powerful and too much of a risk around.
Yeah, no, but...
And not only is there's also... what's her name, Mrs. Otterborg, and who's a novelist, and her daughter, what's her name, Rosaline Otterborg, who are there, and John Ferguson, a citizen of the world, whatever. James Ferguson. Yeah, and doesn't really like Lynette either because he thinks that she deserves to be bumped off.
He didn't like it. He was hinted to be how to put it, a communist-type sympathiser. He didn't believe in all these rich people running around and squandering money and wasting their lives. He believed in the working class.
Coming from an actual... He's actually... It's not mentioned in this movie, but he's actually of that line of that type of group of people. He just doesn't like the upper class, so he decides to become an ordinary person, a citizen of the world, all that stuff.
Yes, a citizen of the world, with no money. Well, not a lot of money anyway.
Soon enough, we meet her.
That's interesting. If he's a citizen in the world and doesn't really have a job, and he doesn't let people highfalutin and go on those big holidays, where did he get his money from to go on a holiday to Egypt? I can't afford one at the moment.
I told you, Mike. He came from a wealthy family. He just doesn't like mentioning
He's using their money.
True.
Aha.
Or maybe he does have his own money earned by other means.
Yes, which means he's a hypocrite.
Would you shut up?
I'm sorry. Well, he is.
Anyway, would you shut up?
Okay, fine.
So anyway, we then meet Colonel Race and his reasons for being there. Even though he explains to Hercule Poirot that he just came down for a nice holiday, but in reality, he's there to stop Andrew from getting Lynette to sign over her property.
He wanted to trick you into signing a power of attorney so he can remain in control of all the goodies.
Yes. But luckily enough, he's there to stop him eventually.
Yes. He stops him, and Lynette says, I don't normally sign paperwork without reading it first. And he was going to trick her into signing anyway, but Colonel Race talked her into not, and she didn't.
Anyway, back to the story. Jackie appears, and this upsets Lynette and Simon, and Hercule Poirot decides to approach her, tells her to bury the dead, meaning and stop.
Put the past in the past.
Yeah, but Jackie thinks that Simon was her possession, and that she deserves a little happiness herself. But fortunately, that happiness has been taken away by her wealthy friend. So she wants to take her evil revenge on them by tormenting them wherever they go.
Popping up in the most inappropriate times.
Yeah. Luckily enough, Simon comes up with this ultimate plan of trying to outwit Jackie by telling one of the guys, the carriage guys, to take them to
the train station. We're leaving here.
Yeah, so they tricked Jackie into following them, and they were able to misincept her by getting the carriage guy to hide.
Her. They got their carriage down the road, hid behind something. Her carriage went straight past them down to the train station. Now she got on a train, and then she shows up later on. Ha ha ha!
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Anyway, so they get onto the Karnak boat or ferry or whatever they call it back then. What do they call those boats that?
Oh, like a paddle steamer. Yeah.
Yeah. So they head on to the steamer along with the rest of the party, and they then start to make their way down the Nile and all that stuff.
Yay! We want to do that one day. We've been for a land. We went by coach through Egypt. I want to do a Nile cruise next.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, as they're heading down the Nile, they're doing whatever. We then go to Karnak, which is one of their first destinations they go to. This is one of our first destinations. We were there, and it was really awesome.
I can't remember. We were in the Middle East for about 4 weeks. I think about a week and a half to 2 weeks in Egypt, and so it was a long time.
Yes. Anyway,
would
you shut up?
That was wonderful. You should go, guys. It's really good. Sorry.
Well, anyway, back to the story.
Really good.
No.
Don't drink the wine. It tastes terrible. No, sorry.
Anyway, back to the story. They head to Karnak, and they start. Lynette and Simon, they head off on their own, and while this is happening, each of the groups separate in different, divided groups here and there.
As one would.
And then we find out someone knocks.
Pushes a big boulder. Well, not boulder, one of those big stones.
Ancient stones, over the edge, and nearly misses Lynette and Simon.
Yeah. Now, having said that, this is a big rock, right? You carved stone, big, very weighty. So straight away you go, I think, has to be a guy.
Yeah.
And we don't actually know who did it. It never actually comes out, but we think dear old Uncle Andrew did it. Don't we?
Maybe.
Well,
there was a chance that it may be Jackie.
Well, they all got up there.
But Jackie could not have lifted a stone that big.
She's very frail and slender, and also she wasn't there.
Yeah, that's true.
She hadn't caught up with him yet.
Yeah. Later that afternoon, Simon and Lynette head to Abyssimbel.
Yeah.
Where they see those giant Ramesses heads.
Well, statues there sitting out. There's 4 of them there, and a little on the side of a hill, and a little temple which goes inside the hill. And on a particular day of the year, winter solstice or summer solstice, whatever, the sun goes straight for there and illuminates the face or the figurine. That's actually inside. That's all right.
Yeah.
We've been there too.
Yeah, and then they run into Jackie, and this upsets Lynette so much she starts screaming, get away from me, all that stuff.
Just about wet her pants she did.
Yeah, and eventually they head back to the steamer, and Jackie joins them. And Jackie Hercule Poirot approaches her, telling her you couldn't bury your dead, so you cannot stay away. And she says she couldn't be fooled by any trick that dear old Simon pulled. But she says she'll continue following her star wherever it leads. And Hercule Poirot says, even to hell, even to disaster. And she adds, even to hell itself.
Very dramatic, yes.
And this is where, on the steamer, we find out that Lynette annoys a lot of people on the boat. Like, she makes enemies of everyone, including Madame Otterborg, who, as it turns out, was writing an unflattering bit in her book.
Well, yes, she wrote a book. I don't know what the book was called. I didn't see what the name of the book was.
Me
But
neither.
she had based a character in her book on Lynette.
Yeah.
And it was clearly Lynette in there, even though it didn't have the right name.
Yeah.
But it made her out to be really something really nasty and horrible. Yeah.
And the maid servant to Skylar, her father's did business dealings with Lynette's father, and that kind of ruined their family.
Lost all his money.
Yeah, and let me see. The Dr. Bessner, who's on the ship with them. He's annoyed that Lynette has been spreading horrible rumors about his clinic.
Yeah, he's a clinic in Germany or somewhere where he treats people with, I won't say what, and and he's not in a position to take legal action against her, because if he does that, then the word gets out he's taking legal action against somebody there, and they'll do more damage to his clinic.
Yeah, hint, hint.
Yeah, rock and a hard place.
And throughout this...
and the maid hates her.
Yeah, that's true. The maid wants to get married, and she wants some money from Lynette as a bit of a dowry for her husband.
But it was owed to her. She wouldn't give it to her because she didn't want to marry this guy who she found out was already married.
Yeah. So she's kind of really rubbed everyone the wrong way in the most horrible way.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the story. Later that night, Hercule Poirot is acting a bit groggy.
Sleepy. I feel the same way.
Yeah, so anyway, he heads off to his cabin, and then while Lynette and some of the members start calling it a night, they're actually playing cards, whatever it is.
A few of them there,
yeah. So Lynette heads off, and Jackie appears and starts taunting the guests and her and Lynette, and starts drinking heavily.
Oh, yes. Apparently, anyway.
Yeah, a lot of whiskey, scotch, gin, I think.
Whatever. She just mentioned those things when she was chatting.
I don't know if she's really, really drunk or just...
No, I don't think she was, because now the plot will thicken. I think she's totally sober.
Yeah, so she then tries to talk to Rosalind, and they start chatting. Rosalie. And while they're chatting, she then starts acting aggressive to Simon, or pretending to be upset with him.
At this point, everyone's left the room. There's only Simon, and Jackie, and Rosalie in the room.
Yeah. And when Simon says, go to bed, in a demanding voice, she then says, you make me sick, and all that stuff.
Has a little gun.
And then he says, yells again at her, and then she says, you can't treat me like this, and she then draws her gun.
It's a little pistol.
And then she pops it.
So he fires a bullet in his general direction, and he grabs his leg and falls over.
Yeah. And then...
But it's not all whatever... It's not all themes.
Yeah. Rosalie approaches Ferguson, who just happens to be walking the deck outside, and he sees what... Jackie's did, and they both escort her back to her room. While all this is happening, we hear Hercule Poirot snoring loudly, and we hear a thump 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 thump, like someone running across the
and you hear
Well, we don't hear it.
Don't we?
No.
Oh,
You're just making it up yourself. Huh?
I heard the feet.
Yeah, we just hear the feet. That's
Bit of little feet. Yeah.
That feels like someone, not wearing shoes. Hint, hint.
Someone running with no shoes on. Why? Ha.
Yeah. We then get, much later on, Dr. Bessner is wrapping up Simon's leg.
Which is not... The bones have been broken a bit from the bullet, and he's lost a bit of blood, but he can't get the bullet out. So he's going to wrap it up until they get to the port.
Yeah, so he then puts Simon in his room.
So he keep an eye on him.
Yeah, so... And he then makes kind of... Let me see. Oh, yeah. He then... says that the bullet's lodged deep in there and they can't really take it out just yet. That. So there's no chance of getting it out anytime until they get to the hospital in the next area.
When they get to the main port,
Yeah. Soon enough, Mr. Ferguson goes into back to the lounge to try to retrieve the gun. But, as it turns out, the gun is missing. Mm-hmm. And then the next morning, Louisa, the maid, goes to Lynette's room and
wake her up.
And then she screams and runs out like eek. And we see a shot of Lynette's cold white face and a bullet.
A left temple.
And this grazed scar across her head.
Where a bullet went in.
Yeah.
Well, not a scar, a big mound of pussy congealed blood.
On the wall next to her, we see the word J. Hint, hint.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
And according to Hercule Poirot, this cannot be possible because she would have died instantly. She could. So he think about that, guys. There's no way that she could have just woken.
Dead people do not write anything, let alone their blood. Yeah?
Especially if it was before the bullet hit her brain. You cannot. That doesn't make sense either.
Well, no, she wouldn't have had the blood until she had the bullet in the head. And if she had that, she could have said, oh, wait, before I pass out, nah, it doesn't work that way. No.
Yeah, so there's no way this would have happened. So Hercule Poirot examines the room. He finds the pearls are missing. And
he's had this very nice double or triple string of pearls, very expensive.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that Mrs. Scarlet loves these pearls and would give her eye teeth in her head to possess them.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hercule Poirot starts examining everyone or talking to everyone. He talks to Rosalie and Mr. James about what happened in the scene, and they explain what they saw the scene, and then Hercule goes and explains how maybe these characters may have gone ahead and taken the gun and gone to Lynette's room and shot her. There's going to be a few flashbacks here and there. Well, not flashbacks, just a few possible
if you've ever
scenarios.
Seen one of these sort of Agatha Christie whodunits, there's always they do some flashbacks there as they go through and recap. You could have done this and you could have done that, and
it's just a
different perspectives.
A different perspective of each character, most likely.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes through everyone, each one telling them that why they may have done it or may have not done it because of what they would have done. He eventually uncovers the pearls that turns out Miss Scarlet did steal them, but we don't know if she stole them before or after Lynette was killed. There's a big gap there, but I like to think that she may have killed her when she was still alive or still dead. I'm not sure. I like to think.
You killed her when she was alive, when she was dead?
Well, I just meant she went to her room. She may have snatched them before the actual killer, may have approached.
Possibly. She stuck in. She stuck in.
Yeah.
And she took them, and then someone came in later and went.
Yeah. Who knows?
Or she didn't care she was dead. She said, I'll grab them anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, she knew this would mean jail time, so she then put them back around Lynette's throat when she's in the
cool room.
Cool room.
Yeah.
But Hercule Poirot knows right away that she's definitely taken these.
But that doesn't mean she actually killed her. But he knows that too. But it's funny. Having said, they put the dead body in the cool room where they kept all the food.
Ugh.
Now,
I know, it's disgusting.
Now, you're putting that from a bacteria perspective. It's not the best place to put the body, even though it's going to keep it from going off a bit. It might send the food a bit funny, but
Yeah. They then check Uncle Andrew's room, and they find the document that indicates the whole
the power of attorney
thing, and of course Hercule also discovers that she also travelled armed with a gun too. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, meaning that
he had a big one.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, the small gun. Yeah, Jackie's gun was like a little small female pistol.
You go on a purse, and he had a slightly bigger revolver type gun. Yeah.
Yeah. So soon enough, later on, Hercule Poirot, as he's investigating, he gets an uninvited guest to his room. I won't mention. Well, actually, I will mention it. It's actually
a cobra.
A large cobra.
A cobra. Yeah.
Luckily enough, Colonel Race was in the next room. Otherwise, we would have had a dead detective on our hands.
Yeah, and Poirot standing at the mirror, going
tap tap tap.
Sending Morse code through the wall. Say, come a running. I got a snake in here. Yeah.
And then Colonel Race takes out
he has one of those walking sticks with a sword inside it.
Yeah, so
they're very popular back in those days.
Yeah, and they're still around, as I understand.
Oh, not as much. They can't travel with them.
Yeah, so he then takes it and sticks it into the cobra, and of course the captain is oh my gosh, a snake! Never seen this in a first class
room. First class room before, never first class room.
It's hilarious.
I hate to go second class.
Yeah. Anyway. Eventually, Jackie begs Hercule if she could visit Simon for at least 5 minutes or so, just to see how he is and see if any more that there's a big chance that there's still sparks between them. Even though there's a big chance, maybe not, but there's a big chance. So he allows her to see him for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, lovely.
While
True love.
While Bessner and Hercule are out of the room. So they head out of the room, and Hercule gets himself changed for dinner, of course. And later on, we find out the maid, Louise is also killed. And we find out in an interview that she said that if she was awake, that she would have definitely was seen the murderer enter or leave the cabin of her mistress.
If I was hinting that she saw something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Hercule Poirot is starting to... the pieces are starting to form. And before we could talk more about it, let me see. Oh, yeah. What's the name again?
Who?
The lady who's the novelist again. I keep forgetting names. Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Schuyler or whatever?
No, not Mrs. Schuyler. She's not the novelist. She's Oda
Ottenberg, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, she then approaches Hercule Poirot and tells him that she knows who killed the maid and possibly Lynette, possibly.
Yes.
Anyway, she then she then tells them that she was meeting one of the stewards for something, which is turned out to be
some booze.
Yeah, and while she was buying them, she then hears a scream and someone coming out of the maid's cabin, and as the person slowly emerges, we then flash to the present, and the Miss Aubepine is killed by the assailant, by the killer.
Yeah, a nice shot through the forehead.
Yeah, and I guess Rosalie was a little upset because that
was a mummy. Yeah. Of course, you'd be upset.
Yeah, and
I'd be upset being shot too, just quietly.
And so James Ferguson says that he'll look after her.
There, darling.
Yeah. Anyway,
they become a lot bigger later.
Yeah. Hercule Poirot then announces to the group it's time to finally lay these deaths to rest by saying who did it.
I've already waited too long.
Yes. So he settles everyone back in the lounge room.
As he normally does.
Saloon, I mean. Sorry.
Well, the booze place, the dining room, whatever. Yeah.
So they settle in, and Hercule goes around talking about what occurred and how Louise, the maid, her last statement where she says, what did she say again? She said, naturally, if she was awake...
Naturally, if I was awake, I could have seen who did it.
Yes, so she has seen it, but at the time when she was telling them this...
But why?
There were 3 people present when she said this. That would have been Colonel Race, Hercule, and Simon Doyle.
Yeah. So Simon could hear what she was saying. Because she knows something. Mm.
Yeah. So we then flash to the night of question, and I should mention there were 3 bullets fired from that gun.
Well, you just can do it in chronological. Okay. Well, okay. See, there's 3 bullets. One of the spent blanks was replaced with a fresh cartridge, so it ain't looked like 2 bullets were fired out of the pistol instead of 3.
See, the reason I should have mentioned this earlier. They found the discarded gun. As it turns out, it was wrapped in a scarf.
Miss Schuyler's, scarf was thrown overboard of an ashtray. Blah 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 blah.
And there were one shot fired through the scarf itself.
Yeah, and the thing is, why?
Why is because. Yeah, see...
Do you want to get onto it?
Sure.
You're waffling now.
Yeah, so Hercule goes on to say maybe it was the first shot bullet that hit Simon, but we have a witness. We have Rosalie, who witnessed the bullet being shot.
At Simon, but not into Simon, and that was a trick.
Yeah, so we then have the other bullet, but there were scorch marks around Lynette's head, which indicate that it couldn't be a silencer.
No, it didn't use a scarf to muffle the sound. So who used the scarf to muffle the sound?
Yes, so moving on. So we get to the night in question where the bullet gets into Simon's leg, and then Jackie and Ferguson and Rosalie are on the other side of the deck where she's getting given the right treatment by everyone. And then we flash to Simon, who's no longer crouched near the couch from pain
because he wasn't shot.
Yeah, he then takes out. Yeah, it seems that there was a bottle of ink on him that was red ink that made it look like blood.
It's a bottle of red ink in a nail polish bottle, so he just poured out onto a handkerchief and then put it onto his leg, looking like he was bleeding.
Yeah, he then takes off his shoes.
Wait, can I say Jackie actually shot the bullet into the coffee table next to him?
Yeah, so back to the story. So he takes off his shoes, grabs the gun where Jackie dropped it
conveniently.
And then he runs quickly down the other side of the boat.
And that's what Farrow heard in his sleep, what other people might have heard.
Yeah, and he enters Lynette's room and shoots her in the head. Then he runs back down to the saloon, and he ties his shoes, and then he takes the scarf, and then
he wraps it around the gun to muffle the sound.
And then he aims the gun into his leg because it has to be a real bullet wound.
Now he has to have a real bullet.
Yeah. Painful and all that stuff.
Now this is what I don't understand. He shoots himself in the leg.
Right.
And while he's in pain, he takes out one of the spent cartridges and then replaces it. Why wouldn't he replace one of the spent cartridges before he shoots himself in the leg? Because he's going to be in so much pain, he might not have been able to reload the gun.
Good point. So back to the story. He then takes an marble ashtray, the scarf, and the stained handkerchief and wrap them into a bundle and then throw them over the side.
Splash.
And then he takes a clean handkerchief and clutches it at his leg. And
where he's really bleeding.
Where he's in real agony this time around.
Yeah, would it hurt? He shattered some bone at the same time. Yeah.
Of course, Bessner is a little skeptical. He thinks that there's no way that Simon could move and kill Louise or anything like that. Yeah. But unfortunately, that's where Simon has an accomplice to this murder thing. As it turns out, it's actually Jackie who was the mastermind behind all this sort of thing.
Simon was going to put a snake in Lynette's bed or something or other. wasn't he?
Yeah. But Jackie used it for another
for
victim.
Hercule Poirot.
But luckily enough, she says that she's glad she didn't kill him because I think she's fond of him.
He's a nice man.
Anyway, back to the story. When she went to visit Simon in his room, in the Bessner's room, they consult each other. He tells her about how Louise is blackmailing them, and she takes some money from Simon's wallet, and she heads down to
pay her off, supposedly.
And she takes with her, aside from the money, the one of Mr. Dr. Bessner's scalpels.
Yeah.
Whom she then slices her throat.
And they cut really, really good.
Yeah. She then takes the money quickly, but leaves a fragment of a
1,000 franc note or something or other. Yeah.
Hint.
Hint. Yeah.
And then later on, when Otterburg tells them her statement of who killed Louise
I
Berger.
saw him.
Yeah.
And
Simon, at the time, who heard this sort of stuff, was at the time with them, and he was shouting through.
Oh, no, he wasn't. He raising his voice loudly, so inordinately too loud.
Yeah.
So Jackie can hear him in the next cabin.
Yeah. This so quickly she goes to Andrew's room and grabs the gun and then shoots
through the window
in the head.
A great shot. Yeah.
And then she drops the gun and hides in her room quickly.
And pretending, I was in my room all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then there you have it.
And
of course, Simon thinks, nah, this is not true. You're just blowing your own tuba.
You've got no proof whatsoever.
Yeah, but luckily enough, Hercule has a bit of a sleeve, something up his sleeve.
He says, well, we can always get a moulage test done.
Yeah.
Which now in the movie he explains. I believe it's a real test. What do you put wax? You get some warm wax and you put the person's fingers into it or part of the hand or whatever, and it picks up any granules of spent gunpowder and that sort of stuff. And they put it under a microscope or do something and test it, or chemicals. Yeah. And as lo and behold, there are traces of gunpowder.
Yeah. And Colonel Race agrees
was going to do it,
but
that was just enough to bluff them.
Yeah, and Simon finally breaks down, and Jackie says it's over, meaning game's up.
Game's up. We're stuffed. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then Jackie explains that while they were not necessarily right away planning on killing her at the beginning, but then Simon suggested during the conversation that if this was a book, that he would marry Lynette and then a year or so kill her and then inherit the money. And
exactly right.
And this is where Jackie planned the whole thing. And then while everyone wasn't looking, she steals her pistol from the table that was and she turns to see
Uncle Andrew's gun.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was actually her small one that was recovered from the Nile.
Yeah.
So she takes the gun and she approaches Simon. She shoots him in the head and she shoots herself in the head.
Goodbye.
Killing both of themselves.
Now, the end. Happily ever after.
And then we see them arriving, I guess, back in, would you say...
they'll be probably getting down towards Cairo, probably, I don't know.
Yeah, where they say their goodbyes to Skylar and her maid, and how the maid is a little antsy that now her boss wants to go to the Gobi Desert.
The Gobi Desert for a holiday.
And we get wind that Rosalie and James Ferguson are now engaged.
That's a good... Hey, see, a shipboard romance.
Yes, and Hercule Poirot congratulates the pair and tells them, OMT, word of advice, take it easy.
He should have also said, and don't let your wife get the credit card. Hey, isn't that right, guys? Come on.
Well, and then Hercule says some final French words that were not really... I'm not sure.
He often said French words, and Colonel Race kept saying, will you speak in a language that he can all understand?
So he says the greatest form to women is to inspire love.
Love, yes. Yeah, whatever, fade to black. There you go.
Or at least fade to the water.
Fade to water, then to fade to black. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
so
you go.
I like this movie.
Yay.
I mean, as I've told you guys in the past, mysteries and thrillers, they're the inspiration
look,
behind horrors.
Well, yeah. You take a, how do you put it? You take a good murder mystery, and then you throw suspense thriller into it. That's where you get something like these sort of movies.
True.
You get a murder mystery, suspense, not quite thriller, but you got suspense. Where's this going? And you keep sitting at your seat, waiting. Okay, what's happened? What's happening next? And in the end, you say, "Didn't see that coming." Yeah, and that's what makes a good story. Yeah,
I agree, and I do think this movie was worth watching. I haven't seen the new one that came out in February, so
I get the impression from what I've seen of the trailer, there's a bit more action maybe in it.
yeah.
People are a little bit more animated.
Yeah, and I think
Different style of filmmaking.
and I think the story is slightly changed, but I won't go.
There are a few things different. Yeah, I noticed. I
Yeah.
picked up from the trailer, but it's still going to be the same basic storyline. Yeah. Well, actually, now talking about, I'm going to get onto production and a few little thingy wingies here. Okay. Obviously, I've said before, this is a follow up to Murder on the Orient Express. That went really good at the box office. They thought, well, let's do another Agatha Christie book and put it in the can and see what happens. Now, it was mainly a British film, but there was a fair few American actors in it. Bette Davis, you had
I would say so.
David Niven, you had Peter Ustinov. The main star, what's the name again? Louise Childs, I think she may have been. No, not sure. Mia Farrow's American, yeah. And yeah, at least half of them are Americans.
Yeah, well, I think that's the whole point of the story too.
Yeah, no, the point is it's supposed to be people on holidays anyway, but yeah, it doesn't matter. But most of them should have come from England because he was living in England. They were following around.
I know,
Okay.
but at least they mentioned that they came from either America or England and sort of
Now,
stuff.
the guy who actually directed this, John Gilliman, he had recently made before this two other blockbusters. One was a towering Inferno, and the other one was King Kong. And I don't know about you guys. If you haven't seen the Towering Inferno, you should see it. Damn fine movie.
And that's the last movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you got to remember they didn't use CGI back in those days. They were having real sets with real fire and other things. A bit of little bit of green screen, blue screen, whatever. But yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah,
of that.
interesting fact, guys. I found out during World War II, Major David, what's his name?
Who?
The guy who plays
The real
Colonel
guy,
Ray.
David Niven.
Yeah, David Niven. He was a Batman personal attendant. Was his badminton man?
He's a Batman.
No, his Batman personal attendant was his private Peter.
Ustinov?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they knew each other before they came actors.
So David Niven and Peter Ustinov were in the army together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
Hard to believe, but it's interesting.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, but they're about probably a similar age bracket. Yeah. So a Batman's like an assistant.
Yeah, I figured that.
Or a valet type.
Well,
thing,
that's what they
yeah,
said
yeah,
in, I think, one of Agatha Christie's other books. Like, I think it was in Orient Express, where one of the men was originally a Batman, and then went on to become a butler.
Robin?
And then went on to become a butler too later on.
Okay, right now here we go. Right, okay, right. Casting. Now, I mean, Albert Finney was it? Yeah, Albert Finney played in Murder on the Orient Express, and he did not want to do the role again. Not in Egypt of the heat and everything. He said, "Nah, not interested." So
at least most of the time it was in a studio.
No, they did filming out there under the hot sun on that boat. They did so many weeks filming out there. You'd want to go there.
I read somewhere they actually even made a duplicate of the boat and did it in the studio.
You quite finished?
I'm just telling you what I saw.
I've got my notes here as well. Okay.
I saw it.
Can I say my notes?
I saw a scene in the when they had to do proper shooting inside a studio.
They may have, but can I go on with this? Okay, right. Okay. Got on to Peter Ustinov, who's a good character actor. He's played Nero in a movie and other things, and he plays really good character roles. Okay. So we had, obviously here we got the shooting part of it. The film was shot for 7 weeks on location in Egypt.
Yeah.
That's why Albert Finney didn't want to go to Egypt for 7 weeks dressed up in costumes in front of the camera. That's what I was trying to say to you before.
But I have seen the boat on an actual film set in probably in either America or Europe.
Fine.
And it was inside a studio.
Fine.
I'm just saying, there was a studio, there was a green screen not green screen, and fake water in the area in the thing, and the boat looked identical.
Possibly.
It was probably for all the scenes when in case they would have to deal with
they may have had a dummy
sound
one made
problems.
Up. They might have had, and that was getting on to the next bit I was going to talk about. Okay, thank you. 4 weeks. 4 weeks filming were on the steamer Karnak. They were on the boat for 4 weeks. The historic ship SS Memnon was the actual real name of the boat. And the rest of the places, such as Aswan, Abu Simbel, Luxor, and Cairo. Okay, right. They may have got a dummy of the boat back in there to do some of the shots, when they're standing up the top there and doing things. Okay, most of the time the ship was conveyed by smaller boats, as the engines had been turned off because they made too much noise. It was picked up by the audio gear. Yeah. Okay. No, they were on the boat. They're on the river being towed by smaller boats. I just said. You didn't say anything. Okay, I just said it. Okay. They were on the boat being dragged down the river by smaller boats because the paddle wheel made too much noise for the audio guys. All right. So they were on the river. Okay. Desert filming required makeup at 4 a.m. in the morning and shooting at 6 a.m. to accommodate a 2-hour delay around noon when the temperature hovered around 54 degrees Celsius, which is about 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which would fry an egg on your head. Now, this is getting back to this, you talk about studios. Bette Davis Riley commented, in the older days, they would have built the Nile for you. Nowadays, films have been travelogues and actors stuntmen. So this is being funny.
Anyway, an interesting fact is Maggie Smith appeared in Evil Under the Sun, which was probably
the next movie, wasn't it?
The next movie let me see. It was, let me see, this was done in 1978, so let me see.
That was the next
movie.
That
would be, let me see. I guess that would be 5 years later, I think.
And I think that was the last one that Farrow was in.
No.
Was it? Another one? That was it?
He did appointment, appointment with death.
But I think it was a telemovie, that one.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And I think he did another one. I'm not sure how many more
No, I think that was the last two, I think. Anyway, I won't get on too much more. But everybody on set, being professionals, worked well together. He didn't have any people with attitude problems on there. And they said they all worked together. The seasoned actors were laid back. Said, well, okay, here we are. Okay, it's hot. Who cares? We'll just do whatever. Yeah, they were quite easy to work with.
Well, that's a bit of relief.
So the director was really, really happy. But here's something you probably would not like.
What's that?
The producers refused to let the director or the DOP, director of photography, see the rushes for the day. That's as soon as you got them out of the camera, put them in the can and send them back to us, so we'll get them developed and we can look at them. So they couldn't actually see if they're any good.
That's ridiculous.
So how would you check in to see, we need to redo that, reshoot that scene?
That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
What if you end up getting the shot wrong? Or in one of the scenes you may hear a not so interesting dialogue that's not required in this scene.
Or that someone did something wrong, or they got the wrong angle, or the sun got in the way, and whatever.
Or a person who's not necessarily should be in the shot will be in the shot.
Yeah, someone's sort of skinny dipping behind somebody, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That sort of that could happen.
An elephant walking past that shouldn't be there.
That's a bit silly. Those producers, they should have let these director.
That's what I wanted. But here's something to show what a nice man David Niven was. In early 1978, David Niven's daughter was seriously injured in a car accident. So David Niven would fly from London to Switzerland when I film in London, in England. He'd fly there every weekend to sit by a bedside. What a nice man. Okay.
Well, he's a nice dad.
I would have sent a telegram. No.
That'd be rude.
No, I would have done the same thing myself. Now here, release. This is interesting.
Yes, we could.
Okay. Although this was a British film, Death on the Nile premiered in New York.
Go figure. Yeah.
It's a British film. It premiered in New York. Why? They premiered on the 29th of September 1978 to coincide with the sale of tickets for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's opening on the 15th of December of that year of the travelling exhibition, The Treasures of Tutankhamun.
Clever.
So they wanted to have those at about the same time to stimulate interest in the exhibition, which had piqued interest in Egyptian artefacts, in so much they actually changed the poster for Death on the Nile to put Tutankhamun's death mask on it and have him holding a dagger or something or other under or something. I can't remember. They did some things to change it. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that these days the poster has Hercule Poirot standing next to the Sphinx, in Egypt.
Yeah. It's actually, it does say, we've been there. It's just fantastic. But anyway, now, not enough from the critic side of it to go by.
Damn.
Okay. No, wait a minute. The original critic's response had mixed feelings about the film. So, although it was entertaining and followed the formula of Murder on the Orient Express 4 years earlier, he found it a bit too long and not quite as good. No, they didn't say anything else. He concluded that the screenwriter, Anthony Schaefer, and the director, John Gilman, were not quite as suitable as Paul Den and Sidney Lumet, who had been working on Murder on the Orient Express a few years earlier. Now, Death on the Nile has received generally positive reviews by the critics for more than up to 30 years later. They're still saying how good it is. So
I'm still saying it's awesome.
This David Robinson from the Times didn't get it right because everyone thinks it's a good movie.
Yeah, even the fans like it.
Yeah, no, forget the fans. Well, actually, there is one here. The film holds an approval rating of 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you go.
I think a lot of people have loved it. I mean, it's interesting.
It wasn't appreciated when it was made, and there's not enough critique.
It's so weird. Whenever a movie like this is unappreciated, it becomes either a box office hit to the audience. And I know I said this several times in the past, but it doesn't seem weird that to the audience it's a great success. But when a critique writer writes it and says how rotten it is.
Okay, now I don't normally do awards and nominations, but I will in this case. Okay, Academy Awards, Best Costume Design, 1. Golden Globe Awards, Best Foreign Film, nominated. So it was, one of the finalists, okay? BAFTA Awards, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, another one, and Best Costume Design. Now, the Best Actor and the 2 supporting actresses were nominated. Best Costume Design was won again because they made it so authentic. It looks so good. The Edgar Award, Best Motion Picture, nominated. Evening Standard British Film Awards, Best Actor and Best Film, won both categories. National Board of Review Awards, Best Supporting Actress, 1. Now, when it gets on to actresses and actors, I mean, Peter Ustinov was nominated.
Sweet.
And was nominated for one and won one of the other ones. Angela Lansbury was nominated in one and won it on the other one. Maggie Smith was nominated. So the good actors who carried it, did a good job.
Yeah, it seems the reviewers were a bit wrong on the front about the production. It seems to have done a good job in getting some good awards out of it.
Some good awards, yeah. Now, getting back to the sequel, you were right. The third Farrow film, Evil Under the Sun, was meant to be released in 1979, but was released in 1982. They held off a couple of years for some reason I do not know. And it was followed by several TV movies. So several, you're right about that, starring Peter Ustinov
At least they're still able to bring in the awesome actors.
Yeah, it was followed by several TV movies starring Ustinov, and another theatrical adaptation of the 1988 Appointment with Death. So, Appointment with Death may have hit the cinema, but there's some telly movies with Peter Ustinov in it.
I see.
Yeah. But that Appointment with Death marked his final portrayal of Hercule Poirot.
It does explain a lot.
Yeah, because he's getting old, they want to keep doing it, so.
I always thought the Evil Under the Sun in that one was pretty awesome too.
I love Evil Under the Sun. That's a good story too. It's a really, I mean, the way they take the story from Agatha Christie's novels and put it into a screenplay and actually make it work. Because taking it from a book, you say, based on a book, and you take all these stories and side stories and the other side story, another side story, and try to weave them all into the one story. It's really good. Anyway, I won't go too far now. eBay.
Okay.
Plenty there. Watch out for VHS tapes. There's somehow been an old movie. Amazon. There's quite a few there, I think, rent or buy. Same thing, watch out for VHS tapes, because you don't want one of those unless you've got a player, and usually their quality isn't quite so good.
And if you're looking for the 1971, as I said, try to remember to check the dates on them.
Yeah, 1978.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because while you may get this copy, or you may get the 2005
I think around the same period. I'm not sure. I saw when I was going through the notes and things. There was a foreign one made from Serbia or somewhere else, and they actually made a version of it, and I think it was about the same time. Very careful, don't get the wrong one. Anyway, we haven't graded it yet.
I'm not a big fan of Oriental Express. I don't know why. I think it's because that Hercule Poirot didn't up and hand the murderer for that one.
No, he couldn't. He had to arrest 13 people or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, but who actually murdered him? You didn't get drugged or sedated
He
first?
got drugged and sedated, whatever.
Yeah, and then the first person's blade might have killed him. But everyone had a go. He's like a pincushion in the end. Now, what I was going to say
Go on, you're saying.
Grading time.
Okay.
Look, I'm going to have to... I cannot fault this movie.
Me neither.
However,
However,
I did notice something.
Okay, go on.
If they were going down the river from Aswan down to Cairo, some of the stop-offs were out of order.
How do you mean?
Well, if you were going from point A to point B, you'd have, pass that place first, and that place second, and that place third.
Oh, I get it.
They had a couple of them out of order.
Yeah, I think you have a point there.
So that sort of stuff, yeah.
But I guess well, I guess I won't knock. I mean, considering that it was taken directly from the book. So
have a think about this. Where were they started off? The pyramids. They started off with the pyramids.
Yeah, the pyramids of Giza.
Well, that should be at the end of it.
Yeah, it would be.
And the next one should be the Ramesses statues at Abu Simbel, followed by the Temple of Luxor. So it would have been Ramesses, Luxor, pyramids.
And Abu Simbel is way, 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 way down to the other end of...
Abu Simbel's down near Aswan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I've travelled in Egypt, so I know exactly where it all is.
But honestly, I don't know if Agatha Christie wrote it in that order. I haven't read the book. If she did, she just said, this looks really good, I'll bung it in that way. The average person who hasn't been to Egypt won't know, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I'm not going to take any points off for that one because the filming is just so damn good. And I don't know how they actually film on top of the pyramid. How the hell they got the camera crew up there and the sound guys...
Oh, wait. Now I remember. I think in the book, Abu Simbel was not mentioned in the... where they were going to. Okay. They mentioned Karnak, obviously, and they mentioned the bit where the boulder hitting her and all that stuff, but they didn't mention anything about the pyramids or anything
that was
like
added
that.
It was when they did the script.
Yeah, so
Naughty
they were
guys.
probably looking for the most awesome eye-catching places.
No, it looked great.
I mean,
for those of you people who like travelogues, and like seeing exotic place like a James Bond movie or something else where they go on location. This is great. This is a great eye fest. It'll teach you a way to a foreign country which you probably won't ever see.
Yeah, because I remember in even a James Bond movie, I saw a symbol in one shot, and then the next minute I met Karnak.
Yeah, so they're not that close together.
They're not living that close. I mean, I've been to Egypt, and I know the locations down there.
So I'm going to give it 10. Now, I don't normally give it 10, but I cannot find anything wrong with it.
Yeah, apart from location, whatever, does not matter to me much. But I do think I like to give this 10 out of 10 too.
Yeah, we don't often do this.
Yeah.
I struggle to do a 9.5 on a good movie.
If there was a shot, if for some reason, if the camera crew was in the mirrors or in the windows, I'd probably then.
Well, that's another point too. You've got to look at. I mean, if they're filming on location, if they went to the real old Cataract Motel and they're in their bar dance floor area, there wouldn't have been a lot of room for a filming crew to get in there.
That's true.
It might be sizable, but you have the lights, audio guy there, so and so over there, and you're trying to keep that away, and you have to keep changing perspectives to get around the room.
I got to admit, I do admire Agatha Christie. I read somewhere that she was married to a proper Englishman, and
he was an archaeologist, wasn't he?
That was before she met the archaeologist.
Oh, okay.
He was a strict type of uptight sort of guy.
Okay.
And I think one day she ran away from home and...
that was him, was it?
Yeah.
I thought, so it wasn't the other guy?
No.
Oh, so it's the first guy.
Yeah, and I think that was more to inspiration for her next book.
I think he was a strict, nasty guy. She ran away because she went missing. She didn't go missing. She ran away from her husband.
Yeah.
It made a big thing about it, but I don't think.
I don't think it was
maybe she'd bring it into her books. Well, I ran away to get away from this bad situation, and maybe she got an idea and put it in a book somewhere.
Yeah, because most of the time in these books, there's always a scene where a person disappears. It's not necessarily death or anything, but they just disappear for a bit, and by the end, or not the end, halfway through, we find out that person's alive and hiding.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Anyway, we even got to go. These people are getting sleepy.
Yes.
They got the pajamas on. And,
I do like Agatha Christie, and I like the fact she does. I like when she does the whole travel angle on Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. When all her books were written in exotic places. Well, most of them, yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah, they had Murder on the Sun, this one, and So some were done in English houses and stuff, but
and death appointment. Death of appointment, whatever.
Yeah, that was on the archaeological dig.
Yeah, that was an archaeology dig.
But that's when she's hanging out from an archaeologist guy, so she's taking ideas from her surrounds. Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Anyway, excuse me. Let's kill it. These people want to go to bed.
Yeah, so thanks for listening to this latest podcast, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you may check out both Death on Us, the one that's coming up.
Yeah, the new one I think is a bit more action involved in it. It's a bit more animated, where the old one's a little bit more like a suspense thriller drama.
And check out this one to get a few ideas of the actual real story from the actual book.
Yeah, get a book. Hey, the things that it's made out of paper and cardboard and stuff, and it's got words inside it. A lot of people don't use those anymore. I don't know why.
Because the 2021 is going to have a few alternate changes to the script, and you may find it a bit off-putting, maybe.
Whatever. Anyway, guys,
I find those stories
off-putting. We say goodbye now.
Okay. Thanks for everyone for listening to us podcast.
And that stuff. Yeah.
We'll talk to you guys very soon on our next one. Bye for now.
Bye.